What's up, guys? I want to recap Ironman 70.3 in La Quinta. So starting off with race morning, super early start to the day, was up at 3, got onto the bus at I think like 4:45, and then got over to the lake around 5 a.m. Once I was finally in my wetsuit, I think I waited around like an hour and some change until I was actually in the water. There's nothing to train you for what your first Ironman race is going to be like in the water. I've done a lot of open water swims, so I wasn't really nervous about that, but just the sheer amount of people fighting for position and jockeying for position. I definitely got hit a bunch. I might have done some bumping around. I had a right calf cramp at about 10 minutes in, and then a left calf cramp on my last turn about like 35 minutes into the race. Those were super difficult to deal with. It felt like a golf ball was just in my calf making its way up to my knee, but I had to pull up in the water and actually kind of float there for a second on my back and pull my wetsuit up and massage my leg out. It was actually pretty scary, a little bit of a fight or flight moment there where there's people going by and I'm cramping so I can't really swim. Transition was crazy. It took like 9 minutes. I was completely disoriented coming out of the water, but thankfully I had the first bag in transition, so I didn't have to hunt for my bag. Getting out of my wetsuit, I dried off. My hands were super cold, so it was hard to put on my cycling shoes. I got it done. I made it into the transition, grabbed my bike. And at that point, I was kind of pissed because I was like, dang, I knew that swim was going to be slower than what I wanted. But let's get on the bike, let's start hammering, because you can make up time on the bike. Super happy with how my bike went. I averaged 19 miles an hour, which was my goal for the bike ride. I was a little bit above it, actually, and once we got halfway, I was feeling good. So I was like, all right, we're halfway there, and then we hit the racetrack, which is really awesome. That gave me like some energy, and I saw my buddy out on the racetrack as well. So once we started coming towards the end of the bike ride, I was like, all right, let's hammer home, and then we just have the run to deal with. Got into transition 2 and saw my supporters and family, so that of course gave me a ton of dopamine and energy. I was able to throw my bike up and get my shoes on. That was a pretty smooth transition. The only thing is I had to buy new shoes a day before or 2 days before the race because my shoes never arrived, which kind of sucked. So I was running in Hoka's, which I've never run in before. They weren't broken in, so a little stiff. Trying to stay hydrated, I was just taking electrolytes at all the stations and throwing ice down my back, putting ice in my hat to stay cool. In the last 2 5Ks, the last 10K, felt pretty tough. I slowed down a bit. Ended up running like 8:35s, I believe. Yeah, that's just a quick recap of the race. And then once I heard the names being called at the finish line and I got closer to the finish, that just gave me energy, and I saw everybody and I took in the moment. I'm gonna remember this whole experience for the rest of my life. For now, I'm gonna go hit the gym, and that's a quick overview. Keep your eyes out for the YouTube video where I'll dive in and tell you guys some more stories and give you some behind the scenes. All right, peace.